Welcome back to Tonight on Breaking. It's now 6 weeks to the 2023 general elections and the name calling has started. Over the weekend, the APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu attended a rally in Ondo State. During the rally, Tinubu gave a speech highlighting why people should vote for him and took a bit of time during the speech to throw some shade to his opponents by giving each one of them a nickname. Tinubu told the crowd that they cannot trust their future to Mr. Stingy, Peter Obi, and Mr. Sell Everything, Atiku. He calls the Labour Party presidential candidate's philosophy of saving state funds wicked and a recipe for underdevelopment, and alleged that the PDP presidential candidate doesn't want to do the brave and hard work required to build a better nation. Obviously, Tinubu's statement generated some reactions on social media. But I think I know what Tinubu is doing. I think Tinubu is following Trump's campaign strategy. If you follow US politics, you know that Trump is fond of giving his opponents names like Sleepy Joe or Crooked Hillary, especially when speaking in front of a large crowd. It's a campaign strategy and this seems harmless at first, but these little nicknames create a caricature, a distorted image of the other presidential candidates in the head of the voters. And this caricature is what they remember when they go to the polls. These caricatures are important because they create simple mental shortcuts that people rely on when they make decisions about who to vote for. Remember that there is so much information out there about every presidential candidate. Most people do not have time to sit and consume and process the information like the way we do in the media. So they need simple things that will help them make up their minds. You might not know or remember why Peter Obi cut budgets in certain areas and increased spending in other areas when he was governor. But you will remember Mr. Stingy. You might not know or remember why Atiku pushed for the sale of certain national assets and what the outcome was, but you will remember Mr. Sell Everything. And notice that these names create negative emotions. That's the point of this strategy. Aisha does not have to remember anyone's track record when she is at the polls. She just has to remember how she feels when she thinks of Mr. Stingy and Mr. Sells Everything. And that's basically what every election comes down to. Feelings. Over the weekend, a train station in Igoben, Edo State was attacked by terrorists and 20 passengers were abducted. According to Edo State Police Command, around 4 p.m. on January 7th, passengers waiting for a train ride from Igoben to Warri were attacked by terrorists armed with AK-47 and 20 were abducted. According to the Edo State Commissioner for Communication and Orientation, Chris Nehikere, since the kidnapping, 7 passengers have been rescued by the police, leaving 13 victims still with their abductors. This attack comes 10 months after the Kaduna-Abuja train attack, where 14 passengers were killed and 65 were abducted. This attack proves once again that in Nigeria, we continue to be fooled not once, but twice, over and over again. The attack on the Kaduna train happened at night, and the train was already in transit and was in the middle of nowhere. So the attack was easily executed. But this attack in Edo was right there at the train station. It happened around 4 p.m. so there was still daylight. It was not in the middle of nowhere, yet somehow the terrorists still managed to abduct 20 passengers. The only thing in common between the Kaduna and Edo attacks is that the terrorists came with AK-47s. So clearly AK-47s are really what matter here. The time of day doesn't matter, the region of the country doesn't matter. All that matters is who has AK-47s and what they want to do with the weapons. So you're either a good guy with a gun or a bad guy with a gun. And right now, we just don't have enough good guys with AK-47s in Nigeria. In other news, the National Assembly recently passed the student bill that is proposing 2 years imprisonment or 500,000 or both for students who default in loan repayment or anyone found aiding a defaulter. As you all know, back in November of last year, the National Assembly passed a bill which would enable students in higher institutions of learning to gain more access to financial assistance in form of loans. So, for example, if you want to go to the university and you can't afford it, all you need to do is apply for a loan from the government. Now, for the repayment of that loan, the bill recommends that the beneficiary of the loan shall commence repayment 2 months after the completion of the NYC program. That means 2 years after the National Youth Service, you are required to get a paying job so that you can start repaying the loan you collected. Okay, first of all, who gave the National Assembly the idea that this is the best education plan in Nigeria? Just because something is happening in other countries does not mean it can work here. How many lawmakers took out loans for their education? Most of the lawmakers today were educated in the 70s and 80s at a time when education in Nigeria was not only free but high quality. Now they want to start charging loans for lower quality. Also, how many of their children are taking out loans for education? Secondly, which high-paying job in Nigeria can you get 2 years immediately after NYC? The unemployment rate is now at 33% according to the National Bureau of Statistics. I mean, there are graduates from over 7 years who are still jobless. Even if you want to say that they should do business instead of job, what business can a person do in Nigeria that in just 2 years they are able to remit 10% monthly? I mean, I can think of one business, but we don't want to encourage it. And if people cannot pay back the loans, how can it be sustained? Where will the money to give more loans come from? In fact, where is the money to give the loans coming from in the first place? Listen, I'm going to tell you what's about to happen with this loan for students scheme. A bunch of students will take out the loans, they will graduate and cannot find jobs, or their businesses do not take off. They are now owing a lot, but they will argue that it's not their fault because the government failed to create an enabling environment for business to thrive. NANS or some other association will come along and negotiate relief on their behalf, and just like that, their debt will be forgiven. How do I know that this will happen? Because the student loans are like the loans that we take from the World Bank or IMF. Every couple of years, we blackmail those organizations into forgiving a portion of our national debt. So students, take note that everything is negotiable. Just focus on getting your education and continue to watch and learn from the best debt negotiators in the world. That's all for tonight on Breaking. I'm Johnny Woody. Don't forget to go and collect your PVC if you haven't. Thank you.